I think it's safe to say this Texas Longhorns football team has crossed the Rubicon. There's no turning back. Defensively, I think they're where you want them to be. They're flying around. They're one of the best right now in the conference, if not the nation. I think Alabama is still the tops. LSU, the way they're playing on that side of the ball, even Auburn only allowing 12 points a game. You'd have to put them ahead of the Texas Longhorns. But back-to-back weekends where they've had 30-something unanswered points and now 20-something versus TCU, I think that defense is really back. The offense, still some struggles periodically during the ball games, but Texas as a team, holistically speaking, I think they're on a different level than we've seen in the past 3, 4, 5 years. So, yes, to answer your question, my Longhorns are back. Well, this guy has been outstanding. You look at his first couple ball games, his numbers are ahead of Patrick Mahomes, who's lighting it up right now in the NFL for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're ahead of Baker Mayfield. Of course, he lit it up on a Thursday night a week ago. So right now, in this small sample of work, he looks pretty good. And they're nicknaming him the showman. Let's see if he can live up to that hype. But this offense is rolling. It helps when you have a running game to match that passing prowess. So I like what I see out of this Texas Tech football team. It's going to be difficult going up against West Virginia, who has a bona fide star and a Heisman candidate in Will Grier, and they have an excellent defense. That's where they've really bulked up on that side of the ball. A couple of transfers, one from USC, another from Clemson. That's helped on that D-line. So Tony Gibson has a defense he can believe in. Speaking of defense, Texas Tech, they bowled their necks and shut down Oklahoma State a week ago. That was impressive, and I didn't see that coming. I don't think anyone did. We thought it ultimately would be a shootout, but Texas Tech was the only one shooting it, and so that was an impressive victory on the road. Well, I would give West Virginia the edge, even though Texas Tech is going to be at home. If they can bring that same balance to the offensive side of the ball as they had a week ago, they're in Stillwater, they've got a good chance of winning. Army did what they do to everyone, and you can put Navy and Air Force in that number to a certain extent as well. They control the rock. They control the clock. 45 minutes time of possession for Army in that football game. If not for mistakes, they probably win the football game. But they ran the ball, and you look at the Sooners, they only had 17 plays in the second half, I believe it was. 40 total for the game. 40 plays, and Army 87 plays. So it was difficult, and it's always difficult when you're facing an option team. You don't see that a lot in today's game, and to get shored up and coached up on that in a week's time is tough duty, and we saw that last week. But the good teams, the great teams, they find a way to win, and that's what Oklahoma ultimately did. I know what I learned. That was one of the worst tackling efforts I've ever seen in my life. You just saw Texas A&M Aggies defenders sliding off, avoiding sometimes these running backs and ball carriers for Alabama. Even the wide receivers were running through tackles, and that's something you hardly ever see. You know, maybe a tight end, but not the wide receivers unless it's a big fella. But the little guys were running through the A&M would-be tacklers. So they have to shore that up. Mike Elko, the defensive coordinator, can't be anyway pleased with the way his charges played on that side of the ball. Offensively, you have a quarterback that rushed for over 100 yards. I think you're going to see more rollouts from Kellen Mond, get him out of harm's way. Don't try to make him a pocket passer. He's so athletic. I think you need to move him around. So they had some chances. They had some opportunities in that ball game to stay with Alabama, but ultimately the bad tackling, giving up the explosive plays, that's what hurt them. Well, Sean Robinson has to take care of the rock. He had a couple of turnovers in the big ball game versus Ohio State. Then he had an ill-advised fumble in the big ball game versus Texas. So he needs to take care of the ball. He's a quarterback. You understand all the responsibilities that comes with that position. So you have to man up and take the criticism that's now being directed your way. Because if you have turnovers like that in the magnitude of the games you've played in the past 2 weeks, ultimately you're going to lose. And so that's what occurred here. He has to take care of the ball. ball. That's the key. And they just ran into a better football team this year. You know, going into this ball game, Texas had only scored 8 points in the last 4 versus TCU. Well, they turned that around. And the defense for Texas, as I've already mentioned, stepped up and played extremely well. And they have the speed to match TCU on that offensive side of the ball. So that was good to see from a Longhorns perspective. But you have to take it, the good and the bad. That's part of this deal. So if you don't turn the ball over, you have a better chance of winning, ideally. And they just have to get away from those miscues and the self-inflicted wounds. One, wow, that is a great question. Sam Houston State? Oh, no, I know who it is. I have this. I got this. It's right up there where you are, North Texas. The Mean Green have been outstanding. A week ago, they had all 3 Player of the Week honors. I mean, offense, defense, special teams. So they're playing some great ball to go into Little Rock and knock off Arkansas. And Keegan Brewer was just outstanding, fooling everyone, giving them the okey doke on that punt return. Nason Fine, he can chunk it with the best of them, even though he's small in stature. So they're playing some well-rounded football currently. So congrats to the Mean Green.